Well, hello, everyone. It's already Wednesday. Can you believe it? It's just been a week since we've talked last, and I am happy to be here again. We've got a new lesson for you about your charts. So, if you have not had the opportunity to get your chart, please go to my website, amytyson.com. You can see it on the screen right next to me here. Never know which way to point. There you go. Here, right there. amytyson.com. Scroll and you'll see the chart generator. And we are looking at day masters today. So we are going to be focusing on the day master in your chart because the day master actually brings you about 70% of your personality traits. So in order to find this, you head over to that website, amytyson.com, enter all your pertinent details, your date of birth, the hour. If you don't know it, just leave that blank. That is not going to influence the day master. And then your gender, male or female. And then when you click that, you will see something that looks like this, and it's called the Bazi calculator. And the little aspect we're looking at, last week we looked at Life Star. This week we're looking at this part right here. So it'll say yin earth or yang earth. It'll say yin water or yang water. It will tell you all kinds of there's 10 different formulations. So take a look and get your day master right now so that you can get all of the information that I'm going to share with you in just a moment. You will also notice in your chart, there is this aspect down here. And let me show you where that same day master is showing up. See where it says day right above the circle? This is the pillar of the day that you were born. So there's 4 other in that location that we're going to talk about in a second. But for those of you who may have missed my talk last week, this is the beginning of teaching you Bazi. Bazi is the original term for the Chinese zodiac. So if you've ever been to a Chinese restaurant where they hold those paper placemats on the table, everybody always has to look to see what animal they are. And that's the year that you were born. And the year has an element above it too. And I'll show you that in a second. So you can see what year you were born, what element was there, and the animal that was associated with it. But you also have a month element and animal. You have a day element, which we're talking about today, and a day animal, and an hour element and animal. So here is the year element sitting right on top of that, under that year pillar. Here's the day that we're talking about today, and then you also have the hour and the month. So we're just focusing on the day one. Please don't start reading into the information that I tell you about your day master into those other elements in the year and the month and the hour, because those are going to act differently than your day master does. Because in our chart, the day master actually tells everybody else how to act. So you can think of it as the conductor in your life orchestra. So if you are a yin day master, specifically in this case, yin earth, all of the animals and all of the elements act one way. But if we were just to flip this day element out and put, let's say, a yang wood in there, all of the animals and all of the elements would act completely different. All right. So that's the first thing to remember, is not to start reading into, well, I have a yang earth over in my years, so that must mean I have all those characteristics of a yang earth, which we're going to talk about in a minute. That's not how this works. We're only focusing on the day element today. Okay, so the day master. So again, we're looking at the day master. This is what you're going to get in your chart when you go to your chart generator. And again, this is a fantastic thing to do, to have your kids day masters, your spouse, your work colleagues, your friends, your enemies, because like I said, it tells about 70% of your character traits, and you can get really good insight into people and why they act the way they do, especially with your kids. When you find out some information today, you might have a light bulb moment, say, oh, now I understand why my son or my daughter or my spouse acts that way. I get it. And you can have a little bit more leniency and understanding in your relationships with them. I'm going to just quickly go through the 5 elements. So I said there's 10 different day masters. That's because we're dealing with 5 elements: fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And each one of those has a yin expression and a yang expression. So you're going to be one of those expressions, and you're going to find out what that means in your life as we go through them. So let's start with yin water. Now I want you to think of yin water. Last week we talked about the life stars. And remember, we lumped water together, yin and yang. This time we're pulling them apart. So if you're a yin water day master, I want you to think of a nice trickling brook or the nice dewy rain, not the torrential downforce typhoons or things like that, but the nice dew on the grass, the little sparkling rain that comes down. This is an individual who's very free-spirited. They're very good at telling stories. They can figure things out without reading the directions. They do have a hidden temper, but their true gift is storytelling, but they tend to kind of get off track. You know how a river goes and it kind of meanders this way and then it goes that way and then it goes this way, and sometimes a little tributary shoots off to the side and goes around before it joins back up. Yin water are really free flowing with their ideas, and they have a lot of ideas, but to keep them focused is the challenge. But yin water, if you have kids, you are the one who is an excellent storyteller for your children. Yin water people also have fantastic wealth potential. So I'm going to do all the yin elements first, and then we'll do the yang ones. So yin wood is our second day master. I have a sister who is yin wood. Adaptability is their strength. And yin wood has so think of the vine, or think of the beautiful flowers or the grass. So yin wood has this ability to climb over and around obstacles, just like individuals who have yin wood as their day master. These are excellent salespeople. They can talk you into things. It's like weaving a web around you before you even know you've been talked into something. Their people are their strength. They're very good people to have on a sales team. So if you are hiring for a sales position and want to identify someone who has the potential to be really good with people, look for someone with a yin wood as their day master. Next one is yin fire. Last week when we talked about life stars, we lumped both fires together. So this week we're pulling them apart. If your day master is yin fire, you are the one element. Well, first let me explain what it is. Yin fire is any fire found here on earth. All right. So from candle to raging forest fire is a yin fire. So there's many personalities within the yin fire realm, but you can think about this. If you are a yin fire day master or know someone who is, what do you constantly have to do to fire in order to keep it going? You need to feed the fire, right? So yin fire individuals have a potential to burn themselves out because they are self-sacrificing. They will give until they're just worn out. So my advice to yin fire day masters, those of you out there, is make sure you're taking time for yourself. Make sure that you're building back up your reserves so you can keep giving to other people. Yin fire individuals are also someone who can set an idea on fire and it spreads really rapidly. So Tony Robbins would be an example of a yin fire. He can speak to the stage and set people on fire with passion and inspiration. Yin earth. Yin earth is like the sandy soil. So that's why we have a picture of a beach here. This sandy soil is, you can also think of it as the mother earth, the nurturing earth that everything grows out of. So if you're a yin earth day master, you're someone who's very independent and self-sufficient. You are a multitasker. You're very creative. Even though you might not think you are, you have a lot of ideas, and know that you will never run out of ideas because yin earth just keeps creating and creating. Yin Earth individual day masters are very money minded, but they might not show it. There's other day masters that show it loud and clear, but this one does not. They can have a very sharp tongue. So think if you walk down the beach and you step on a shell, a pointy shell, how it can cut you. So can their tongue, but they have a really sunny disposition. They also love good food. This element is associated with the stomach. And then the other thing with Yin Earth is if you push an individual, a Yin Earth specifically, too far, if you just like nag them or you irritate them or you push them too far, they're going to revolt. And revolt looks differently to different Yin Earths. It could be a temper flare, or they could just shut down with silence. Next is Yin Metal. Yin Metal is the fine jewelry. So it's, if you think of a Yin Metal individual, think of a beautiful diamond necklace or bracelet. These are the people that you just have to listen for. They have a beautiful tone in their voice. They sometimes are singers, they sometimes are radio people. They use their voices. They're also someone who isn't really fond of hard work. They would rather figure out how to do it than actually do it. They can also be very secretive and share only on a need to know basis. But the interesting thing about Yin Metal is their mental dexterity. They can go from A to C, skipping B in the process. And people are like, how did we get there? But the Yin Metal people can just intuitively, in their minds, figure things out. They don't need a step by step approach. Now let's go on. Those are the yin. Now let's go on to the yang counterpart. First one is yang water. See the different picture here? The wave of the ocean, a tidal wave. Or you can think of Niagara Falls, the big waterfalls. That's the difference. So yin water is gentle rain. Yang water is like the big waterfall. If you're a yang water day master, you typically think fast. You are very efficient and normally organized, because think about water. Water likes to clean things and make things shiny. Typically very smart, very quick-witted. They're extremely entrepreneurial. They're the most entrepreneurial day masters of the 10. They're not drawn into relationship drama typically. And they're very transparent with their leadership. They're great leaders. They are going to tell it how it is in a very diplomatic way. So that's our yang water day masters. Yang wood. Now, when you think of a yang wood, I want you to think of a tall redwood or oak tree. They can come off as very stubborn, but really what they are is they're competitive, but in a secret sort of way. And it's the way to think of this is about a tree. You never see it grow, but all of a sudden it's shading your house or shading your driveway. So tree, those call the yang wood a tree. These individuals have high tolerance levels. So think of a branch on a tree. So the branch on the tree is sticking out like this. Yang wood day masters can take a lot of pressure. So people can push them hard, but the minute that branch breaks, it's very hard to get back into a yang wood's good side. You have to work very hard. You can't take duct tape and just duct tape that branch back onto the tree. You have to do something outstanding in order to get that yang wood person to like you again. The yang wood is somebody who's going to help you when you're down. They're always willing to help their friends. Friends are very important to them. They're going to help even if it hinders them or hurts them, because they'll just go out and assist, just like a tree doesn't ask for anything in return as it shades you from the sun and shades you from the rain. The thing about yang wood day masters that they have to be careful about is when they get to levels of leadership, think about what happens to the tallest tree in the forest. It typically gets cut down. When a yang wood individual aspires to be at the highest level of leadership, know that they're going to have to take a lot of people trying to chop them down. So they have to be very strong and well-rooted and well-balanced in order to withstand that. And then if you have 2 yang woods, this is one time you can look at the rest of your chart. If you're a yang wood daymaster and you have another yang wood at the top, it means there's always going to be some competition in your life. So think of the forest, how the trees compete for sunlight. So if you have 2 of those trees protruding at the top of your chart, you will have competition in your life too. Then there's yang earth. These are like the Rocky Mountains. That's the picture here is those rocky cliffs. These are the big, huge boulders. Yang earth people can be a bit stubborn. They're stable and unmoving. And think about it. The mountain doesn't go to anyone. People go to the mountain. The mountain doesn't go to people. It's because you as a yang earth daymaster have everything you need inside. You have all of the materials inside, the creativity, the entrepreneurial spirit, everything's inside of you. So you can command respect with ease if you choose to. And the other interesting thing about yang earth daymasters is they can intuitively size someone up immediately. They just have that feeling that this is a good person or not a great person. So if you have a yang earth person in your life and you're meeting some new people, pay attention to what that yang earth individual says about those new people, because you'll get a really good sense on, hey, is this someone that I can trust and should get to know? Or is this someone I need to be a little bit more careful with what type of information I share with them? The other thing with yang earth daymasters is there's that hidden volcano inside of them that can erupt. Now, it doesn't happen often, but when it does, you will remember it. They are not pushovers by any means. One of the weaknesses of yang earth people is if you are in business for yourself, get someone else to do your bookkeeping for you, because that's not your forte. Your forte is people. Then we have Yang Metal. See the difference? Yin Metal is the jewelry. Yang Metal is the swords, the spears, the axes, the sharp knives, the big heavy type metal. So Yang Metal individuals are very firm in their beliefs. They're kind of that Three Musketeer kind of individual, all for one, one for all. They're very protective of their friends. They place a lot of emphasis on their friends. Can be close-minded at times. They don't usually talk very much until you get to know them. Most of them are very honest. It's hard for them to be dishonest. So normally a Yang Metal Daymaster will tell you the truth. One thing about Yang Metal Daymasters is they have a tendency to put blame on others. So if something's going sideways or wrong in their life, they tend to not believe it's their fault, that it was someone else's actions or someone else's inactions or someone else played a role in something that went wrong in their lives. So if you have a Yang Metal child or sibling, you probably have seen this already, but you can help them understand that they need to see how their actions or reactions played a role in a situation so that they can work with that weakness of that daymaster. And then we have Yang Fire. So Yang Fire is the fire not here on Earth. It's the fire of the sun. Now, if you think about the sun, every day it rises, it shines, and then it sets. The next morning, it rises, it shines, and it sets. Guess what? The next morning, it rises, it shines, and it sets, even on cloudy days. So the Yang Fire Daymaster is someone who's very dependable, but they like routine. They like things the way they like things. And it is a little bit difficult to get them to break out of their routine, but you can do it. But the Yang Fire, especially a Yang Fire male, so if there's a Yang Fire male in your life, they are probably very close with their mothers. Can be a mama's boy. So if you're married to a Yang Fire, you may have noticed that. Or if you are dating a Yang Fire, you might notice that. Or if one of your sons is a Yang Fire, you might notice you have a really good relationship with that child, with that son. Yang Fire is just like the Yin Earth. They have a particular way they like their food. They like food, good food, um, gourmet food. But the thing about Yang Fire, they like to be the center of attention, just like there's only one sun in our sky. Hopefully, there's only one fire, Yang Fire in your chart if you're this day master, because if there's two, just like the Yang would, if there's two Yang Fires, it means you have competition and oftentimes are overshadowed by that other Yang Fire in the chart. But because this is the fire of the sun, these day masters really don't see how brilliant they are. And they need to be told. So if you have a son or a daughter who's a Yang Fire or a spouse, compliment them, give them recognition, because it goes a long way to keep their fire strong and strongly burning. And they become better when they feel that they are appreciated and recognized. All right, so those are our 10 day masters. And if you missed any of them, you can rewatch this recording. Again, this day master gives you about 70% of your character traits that people see and you recognize as you go through your life. So now I had a question, and the question was this. So I'm wondering what is going on in my job for next year. Is there anything I need to know right now? So I received the birth date of this individual. So I will put this chart up. This is a female. And she's asking this question about her job. So first of all, we see her day master is Yang Water. What does that tell us? It tells us she's very quick-witted. She's a sharp thinker. She's entrepreneurial. We notice her life star up there in the corner over here. She's a life star 1. That's also water. So this individual has all of the characteristics of water. All right, so that's the first thing we see. So we know a little bit about this individual. They're a go-getter. I would probably, without meeting her in person, probably classify her a type A, who likes to get things done quickly and works hard and doesn't like to take no for an answer, is going to figure out a way over, under, around, or through to get things done. So the question was, what can I expect for my job coming up here? Is there anything I should know? Well, the answer is yes. So coming up in 2022 is the water tiger. So number 1, it's a Yang water year, guys. So it's a Yang water year. So it's going to be more Yang water for this individual. So she could see some competition, but we're going to look at it as collaboration. The interesting thing about a Yang water day master is they don't really see competition because all the water comes together. So it's more of a collaboration that they see in their lives, unlike the trees and the sun, unlike our lives of our day masters of Yang Fire and our day masters of Yang Wood. The next thing I see are these 2 dogs under here. See the dog in the day and the dog in the hour. These 2 guys next year, they are forming a special combination with the tiger. So remember, 2022 is the year of the tiger. So tiger and dog like each other very much, and we call it a 6 harmony. And what happens is they pop out another element, and that element happens to be fire. So this individual is going to have an additional fire element in their chart next year, influencing them. And in this case, it is her wealth star. It's money, potential for money for her next year. So great. But what her specifically needs to be paying attention to in 2022 is the more she can manage resources. Okay, so whether it's in her career she's in or if she's working on her own, I don't know. So in her business, if she can get more responsibility of managing resources, and resources can be time, resources can be financial or money, and resources can be people. So if she can have, maybe she can get a promotion and have people working under her, that will give her the ability, she'll be very good at managing those people and resources next year. The next thing I see right here is the snake, and this is representing her career next year. So this is her career palace. This is This is an emotional issue for 2022 for her. The tiger and the snake form a destruction and a punishment formation. So the way she needs to position herself is to avoid getting hurt by this snake in her chart next year with the tiger, is to not readily offer help. So you know how people can be talking to you and say, "Oh gosh, I'm really stuck and I don't know what to do here." And then we might immediately jump in and say, "Well, I can help you." That is not what she is to do this year in 2022. The reason is because that snake right here in her month is creating that harm formation. And what will happen is things will go along fine. She'll help this individual or many individuals. And then a few months in, they're going to start blaming her. They say, well, you did this wrong, or it's your fault. And she's the one that volunteered her help. So instead of just volunteering to help someone, she needs to wait to be asked. So people need to ask her for that help, and then she can offer it. She can do it if she wants or not. But for her to just step up and say and volunteer, I'll do it, is not the way for her to work 2022, or it'll be an emotional year for her. And emotions, she'll have a lot of unhappy times in 2022. This is a really interesting chart that was pulled for this week because this pig over here in the year creates another element, and it creates a wood element with the tiger. So the tiger and pig come together and they create an extra wood. So this is indicating that she needs to start pivoting in the market that she's working in. If she can, if the career she's in, she can maybe work with a different set of customers or clients. That would be really good for her to step into, or looking at how she can help the business pivot to a different or new market. So lots of change potential in store for this individual whose chart I have here, and I believe you know who you are. So just get ready for that change so you know what's coming and how you can avoid it. So hopefully I gave you some good advice for the rest of this year so you can get ready for 2022. And if you would like insights into your chart, or you have a question you'd like me to answer, maybe I'll take your chart next week, because I'll be right back here again next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central. So you can simply send me a message at amy@amytheisen.com, or you can post it right in the comments on whatever platform you're watching. I'm live on 3 platforms right now. You can certainly type in the comments if you would like me to take a look at your chart and give you some insights next year, or next week, excuse me. And then just a reminder that I do have my flagship event coming up on December 11th, talking all about that year of the tiger that's coming in on February 4th. So if you want to get all of the insights into what's in store for you, I take us from a global level of what's going on in the world for 2022. Then we look at the United States, and then we take your personal chart and I go through those animals and life stars and a lot more, so that you're prepared for what lies ahead and you know what choices to make that are best for you. So I'm going to sign off now. Thank you for joining me today, and I'm glad you could be with me live on Facebook and live on YouTube. And I will see you next Wednesday at 4 p.m.